What's the story, Morning Glory? What is the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of BelleCollective Season 3, Episode 9. So we are still at So Gucci's party, but we are at the tail end of it. We are outside with Letitia and Cliff because Letitia has confronted Cliff about Cliff calling Glenn and trying to report on her that she was up to no good at this birthday party with the stripper. Now, we saw no footage of Letitia acting inappropriately with the stripper. She wasn't dancing with him. She didn't even touch him. She did stand next to him to see exactly what was going on when he revealed his well-endowed gift. She was standing there near him, but so was Cliff. Exactly, so was Cliff. So yeah, so she's confronting Cliff like, why are you trying to cause problems in my marriage? I'm not doing anything wrong, but you're making it seem like I'm doing something wrong to my husband. You got my husband calling me, yelling at me. And so Cliff was trying to justify himself by saying that, Glenn is a very possessive guy and he wants to know what's going on with his wife. And I was thinking to myself, Cliff, you've got some nerve to call another man possessive as you are with Latrice. I mean, you don't let Latrice even think for herself. So that they're going back and forth with that. Cliff still believes that he's in the right. By the way, side note, Cliff always has a drink in his hand. I'm beginning to wonder if he's having a problem because there's always a drink in his hand. His speech is constantly slurred. At first I thought, oh, Cliff is just talking real country. But no, I think it's more than that. I think there's something going on with Cliff, but that's none of my business. Let's move on. So Akeisha's at home with her husband, and her husband has brought them some food, and he fixes her plate and he fixes his plate. He puts a whole lot less food on his plate than hers because he's trying to cut calories. But as they were having their conversation, he was constantly picking from her plate. So by the end of it all, it seems like he ate his food and like half of her food. So where are we cutting calories? Akeisha once again is talking about Ferris Street, that she's planning this holiday event. Her last name is Holly, so it's a play on her last name. She's having a Holly Day event to promote this whole Ferris Street thing. And I'm like, y'all, I am so sick and tired of talking about Ferris Street. We talked about Ferris Street with Letitia for a very long time. Nothing came of that. Then here comes Akeisha. Now she's gonna look, I understand that reconstructing or renovating an entire block or entire street is going to take time. So we don't have to mention it all the time. We don't have to have events for Ferris Street because it's going to be a while before Ferris Street is completed. So can we just put a pin in that and then come back to it, 5 years from now when it's all said and done? Moving on from there, Letitia, she has invited Latrice out for tennis lessons. So after they're done with their tennis lessons, they have a conversation about the party. Letitia wants to know, why did Cliff feel comfortable enough to call up her husband and try to tell on her as if, she was being, this like bad little girl? And Latrice said, that maybe Cliff was really overwhelmed and maybe overly stimulated by everything that was going on at the party. And so Letitia says, well, if he didn't like what was going on at the party, then he should have taken you and y'all could have just walked out and left if he didn't approve with what was going on over there. Latrice says that her husband knew that she wanted to stay and support So Gucci. Latrice, girl, let's stop. Okay, you made your appearance, you mingled, you had a little drink or two, you had a couple of snacks here and there. It's okay for you to leave. So Gucci is not going to fall apart because you left a little bit early. So if your husband was really uncomfortable with what was going on, y'all really could have left, but Cliff did not want to leave. So Letitia, she says, well, Cliff was looking at the 15 inches too, it wasn't like it was just me. I mean, he was all up in the mix too, trying to get a little gander on what was going on with the stripper. Letitia says that she is not happy about Cliff calling Glenn because it was messy and it was starting mess in her marriage. And she has every right to be upset about that because who does that? Who the hell calls somebody's husband and not just I mean, it was like borderline lying about what was going on there, because Letitia didn't do anything wrong. She didn't invite the stripper there. She didn't do anything wrong. So you're calling this woman's husband really just trying to start some mess, because like I'm beginning to believe what Maria's been saying. You and Latrice probably have a whole lot of problems in y'all's marriage, and we know that misery loves company, and he probably just wants to start mess in somebody else's marriage as well. Latrice says that Glenn and Cliff have a brotherhood, and so they're always looking out for one another. But Letitia didn't do anything wrong. She didn't even know that the stripper was going to be there. What did she do that was so wrong? Because she was standing next to the stripper like everybody else was, like Cliff was. Letitia says, well, don't you see what he did affected me, your friend, negatively? And so Letitia was kind of like, when are you going to, stand by my side and be there to defend me and support me? And Latrice says, I'm going to stand by my husband regardless. So Letitia says in her confessional, in my opinion, Latrice has to obey Cliff because she wants to live a certain type of lifestyle. And I really wonder, when the cameras were off, I wonder if Latrice approached Letitia and she was like, girl, what I said on camera, I'm just saying that because, Cliff watches the show. But in all actuality, girl, yeah, you're right. Cliff should not have called Glenn. I'm here for you, girl. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. Excuse me. I just didn't want my husband to get mad at me, if I said anything against him. I wonder if that's how it went when the cameras are off, because if Latrice is really as brainwashed as it seems, and this is really scary, I'm hoping that she's just putting on a front to appease her husband, Cliff. But really, in all actuality, she knows that her husband was wrong for doing what he did. And she does have her own mind, and she can't think for her own damn self. And that this is not the real Latrice. So Latrice thinks that she's in a normal marriage with normal ups and downs, because she says to Letitia, you know how every marriage goes through ups. Yes, every marriage goes through ups and downs, honey, but the situation in your marriage is completely different, and it's really far-fetched what's going on in your marriage. Your husband treats you like a child. And if you're making your own money with your own business, why does he feel this need to chastise you and control you and punish you when he thinks that you're doing wrong? Like, I don't understand that. If you have your own money, unless you're a business, because every time that we are inside of her store, it looks sparse. There's not a lot of product. There's not a lot of customers. I don't know if she makes her main money online or makes her main money from her wig vending machines, but the store itself, and I know that it has to be, they have, when they're shooting a scene inside of her store, they don't want a whole bunch of people in there, because then you have to have everybody sign a release to give their consent to have their image portrayed on the show, etc. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But I thought she made her own money, and that she, like, on her own, she's really comfortable just with her own income. So I don't know why she allows this man to treat her this way, unless, he does make a whole lot more than she does, and the lifestyle that they live is heavily supported by Cliff's income. But she's really trapped in a controlling, abusive relationship. Moving on from there, Akeisha. She invites her sisters over for wine. They talk about Tambra. So she tells her sisters that Tambra has been her friend from way back. They were in high school together. So Tambra brings her on around these group of women, and all of a sudden Tambra has kind of like turned her back on her, talks about her, basically stabbed her in the back. And so Akeisha is like, I don't understand why she would do this, because we go way back. I thought we were friends, but as soon as I got involved with everybody else, she wants to portray me as a liar. She stabbed me in the back a couple of times. So yeah. So the sisters are like, they don't understand what's going on with that either. She says that Tambra told everyone she stole the idea to renovate Ferris Street from Letitia. I don't think she stole the idea. I think that there was an opportunity for her to come in and take over the renovation of Ferris Street. I don't necessarily think that she stole the idea of Ferris Street. For whatever reason, Letitia couldn't complete it. So Akeisha stepped in and took over. Moving on from there, JJ. She's playing pool with Akeisha's husband. This scene right here was very uncomfortable for me, because there's like no chemistry between these two guys. It's hard for me to believe that these two men would be hanging out other than to, do a shot for the show, do a scene for the show, because it was really awkward. They really were not vibing like friends. No, these two people would never, never in life hang out with one another if it wasn't for this show. So JJ's telling Willie about Glenn trying to be a rapper to get Letitia back. And Willie cracked a couple of jokes about Glenn trying to be a rapper. JJ tells Willie also about the stripper that was hired for Gucci's party. He had hired the stripper for Gucci's party. And Willie was like, why? Like, why would you do that? And JJ said because he wanted to bring the ladies back together again. And nothing does it like a man standing naked in the middle of the room. I didn't get that. I didn't understand how a naked man was going to bring the ladies together because number one, Latrice, who is, feuding with So Gucci and also with Marie, she couldn't even participate, because her husband was there. So she couldn't even really participate. So she was off in the corner somewhere by herself. Tambra stayed away from everybody. She was not associating or socializing with anybody. So I don't really know how this naked man brought all the women together. I'm beginning to wonder if he really brought the stripper for the women or was it really for the men? Like, I don't understand. So JJ tells him about the stripper fiasco, about Cliff having to call Glenn and report to Glenn what his wife was doing. And how Cliff was all up in the mix with the stripper, like he was really checking him out. I mean, this man practically pulled out a measuring tape to measure and report to the people that it was actually, 16 inches and 1/4. Like Cliff was really involved with this stripper. Moving on from there, Letitia. So she's invited Tambra out to the park. And this is the first time that Letitia and Tambra have seen each other since the peace treaty. So they talk about what happened with Marie bringing up the situation with Tambra's ex-fiance. Tambra says that is not my ex-fiance. It was just some dude that she was dating years ago. So, like, to Tambra, this guy is a non-issue, so she doesn't understand how he would have contacted Marie and why Marie would even have entertained this guy. Letitia does apologize profusely for bringing up this guy. So, evidently, I didn't know this. I must have missed it in the last episode, but Letitia, this guy had also contacted Letitia, but Letitia did not meet with him. No, she did meet with him, but she didn't give him any attention. She did meet up with him, but didn't take what he said seriously. So Tambra's whole thing was, if y'all are so interested in my past, why don't y'all just come and ask me? When these people are contacting you from my past, just let me know and be like, hey, so-and-so contacted us. This is what he wants to tell us. Because to Tambra, she feels betrayed that they would go and meet up with people from her past behind her back and not even really ask her about, why is this person contacting us? He told us ABCD about you. Instead, like Marie, she met up with this guy and she automatically believed whatever he said without even questioning it. So Tambra says, okay, if you want to know anything about me, just ask. So Letitia was like, okay, if you're giving us liberty just to ask, because Tambra is very closed up. She really doesn't open up a lot about her own personal life. Like even right now in this season so far, we've hardly seen her and Damon together. So Letitia was like, okay, if you're giving us the green light to just ask you anything, are you still living with Damon? Are you still living with Damon? And girl, are you pregnant? And Tambra was like, what? So Letitia, she uses her fake apologies to get information on her friends. That's how I see Letitia. Letitia does this whole thing where she's like, wants to act like she's got your best interest at heart, that, she's really there for you. But in a way, she's just trying to get close to you to get information. That's how I see. Like, it's so easy for her to apologize because she wants you to put your guard down and be like, oh, I can trust her because she's apologizing, so I can really, really depend on her. But I think she just does that to get information on people, because she went straight for the jugular when she said, are you pregnant? Let's move on to Akeisha's holiday event. So everybody was invited. Everybody showed up. Letitia wasn't there because she was running a little bit late, but everybody did eventually show up. And then Cliff, the first thing that he wants to talk about is that damn stripper and his 15 inches to Willie. I mean, Cliff, do you need JJ to give you the guy's number? Because you're acting like you want to stalk this guy. everyone is waiting on Letitia, but it comes to a point where they just couldn't wait any longer. And so Akeisha had to get up there and give her speech about the purpose of renovating Ferris Street. And so finally, after the speech, Letitia finally shows up. So when she shows up at the event, she gives her and Cliff greet each other, and they give each other that little church hug. And so Letitia was like, "Ooh, I don't know about this." And so Cliff was like, what's wrong? You're mad because I tell it like it is? And then he tells her, "Don't F with me." And then Letitia was like, "What you say? Like, what did you say to me?" And somebody, I think it was Marie, he said, he tells it like it is. And he said, "Don't F with him." So Letitia was like, "What is going on here? Like, why are you so angry?" So the ladies talk about Latrice and her insecure, controlling marriage. And while they're getting to the good stuff, to the good part, that's when Latrice walks up and they have to stop talking. Yeah. Yeah, Cliff. Like, how are you going to go to this party and the only thing you want to talk about is that damn stripper? That stripper really shook you. Like, he really did something to he rocked your world, because you cannot stop talking. He's talking about the stripper more than the ladies are. Like, none of the ladies mentioned him, but for whatever reason, this guy is still on Cliff's mind. And is Tambra pregnant? Because she's not drinking the alcohol. I don't know if she's actually pregnant, like while they were shooting this season, but maybe she was just like getting her body ready for an IVF procedure, a transfer of the embryos or something. I don't know. Who knows? Because she's so closed up and secretive. Who knows? Anyways, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, don't forget to rate the video. If you like this content, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.